everyone, welcome to my channel. Here on the Sheenapreneur channel, I share information about government contracting, veteran business content, and other business tips. What's going on, everyone? It is Sheena, aka Sheenapreneur, your favorite veteran. I know my voice is always raspy, but it's gonna be super raspy today because I'm getting over a cold, so forgive me. But I had brought Day back because you all love Day. I love Day. It was a beautiful, beautiful conversation that we had. I learned so much during that conversation. I'm like, let's bring him on back. And he was so gracious to come back on the channel and give y'all some more sauce. He said he got more sauce. That's what he told me.
More sauce, way more sauce.
Specifically, he got way more sauce. So he is here. We are happy to have him. One of my best YouTube videos, actually. So we know that he's going to bring even more since the last year that we did the video. So go ahead, Dave. Tell them who you are in case they haven't seen the first video.
First of all, I just want to say thank you for having me. Again, thank you so much. I can't express the gratitude enough because we had a ball last time. And then since then, that's like really changed like the trajectory of like my channel and then my kind of just presence like in the space. So like thank you. First off, before I say anything about myself, I just want to express my gratitude. But for those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Cantave. I'm the founder of NOMYAD LLC, and we teach companies how to do business with DLA. And our tagline or our guarantees, we guarantee that you're going to win your first federal product contract in 45 days or less if you meet our metrics. So that's our tagline. Outside of that, the way that I got my start in government contracting, I joined a startup with my parents. We helped scale Two Lines Aerospace from $0 to $14 million in revenue in under 3 years. We'll do 20 million this year. Outside of that, internally, myself, I've done a little bit over $3.5 million in sales. And then when I left to pursue my aviation career, I got all my ratings and I'm a flight instructor. And then, as you might be able to tell from the back of my wall over there, I am a runner, an ultra marathoner. So that's a little bit about me.
So I heard about ultra marathon from one human being, okay, and then you. And this lady was explaining what it was. I thought she was just using the word ultra marathon. I didn't know that was actually a thing. She's like, yeah, you run for like some days, like like a long time. Just real quick, what is the ultra marathon, real quick?
So the textbook definition is anything that's longer than a marathon, right? So a marathon is 26.2 miles. Now, the longest race that I participated in was, the longest race I participated in was 76 or 77 miles. There's a documentary about it on my YouTube channel. I went to the Middle East. I went to the desert and I ran it in the mountains, and it took me, there's a caveat that happened with the race, but basically I ran for about like 12 hours. I ran for about 12 hours and we were in the mountains, and I had a crew with me out there. I had a pacer. I was hanging out with like the mountain goats and stuff like that. But anything longer than a marathon. And then before that, I went to Utah. I ran 35 miles in the mountains by myself. So that is like my fun of choice outside of aviation and government contracting.
Somebody has to do it, okay?
Somebody got to do it. Somebody.
It ain't gonna be me. Look, this is my sister. She just did her Tough Mudder a week ago, and that was like, that's not my thing, okay? So she's like trying to get up to the 10K, and yeah. So this is you speaking her language right now. So okay, let's just hop right into. Some people probably didn't see that first video, but that's okay because I know you're gonna implement some of that stuff in our conversation, but. What has changed since the last time we spoke? That was what, maybe a year ago? Not quite.
It was about a year ago. Yeah, it was about a year ago. So some of the things that have kind of changed in like the Defense Logistics Agency and the DIBBS landscape, the user interface is the same. The website is the same. But in terms of doing business with DLA, kind of the metrics that they're grading us as firms on have changed. And with this new change in administration, a lot of the ways that people are becoming more profitable is not really going to be increasing their price, but it's really going to be lowering their overhead. Because with this new administration, they're okay with like, some increases in price, but realistically what they're looking for now is consistency from the people that are already there. And they're really looking at like risk mitigation, right? They are really looking for people who've got their paperwork in order. They're really looking for people who have like standard operating procedures in order, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to say it used to be like the wild, wild west, but you could kind of get away with some things that like you can't necessarily get away with now. And it's a double-edged sword. I don't want people to be discouraged by that, because now they're also becoming more relationship based. And I know a lot of people throw that word around. They're like, okay, what does relationships mean in government contracting? But there's a new generation of like contracting officers and project managers, because the last time that we spoke, there was kind of like that last bit of older people working in the government that were finishing up their retirement. So now there's a whole influx of like these newer, younger contracting officers, program managers, subject matter experts, right? And they're a lot more like open to conversation. There's a bunch of chatty out there, right? It's a lot easier to get people on the phone now, but you know, they want to see that you got your SOPs and all that good stuff in place. But these are people who are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s. It's not like it was, okay, a bunch of people who are in their 60s getting ready to retire, and they're like, the old way that we've done things is always the way that we've done things, right? So it's just become, from what I've noticed over the last year, a lot easier to interact with the contracting officers and get in touch with people. That's kind of the consensus that we've garnered.
Now that you've said that, I really appreciate you sharing that insight, because I feel like there is a lot more, communication willingness compared to even when I started, or even just talking about, even as a service member, when we used to talk about giving contracts to other people, like they better not call me type thing. But now it's kind of like, now we're in a digital age. And to your point, if they were like older, they were getting into the digital age as this thing was growing, and then they probably didn't really like it. Not they didn't want the phone calls or the emails. They didn't want any of that. They just wanted to follow it by the book. But now you're saying, people my
100%. And one niche, really unique stat about DLA is like 51% of the contracts either have only one bidder or nobody bids on them. So a lot of these solicitations are sitting on these people's desks that they've taken over from like the previous contracting officers or program managers or whatever the case may be. And a lot of times these people don't have any experience in the subject, right? So they're like very willing to take our insights or our knowledge as like the vendors that provide this material. So they're like, give me a call, pick up the phone, shoot me an email, message me on LinkedIn, which I want to drop some LinkedIn sauce for you guys at some point. So whenever one of those questions comes up, I want to drop that sauce. But they are very, very open and very conducive to having conversations now, as opposed to what the industry was like last year.
Okay, so given that there's probably still people that are going to watch that have no idea what DLA is and how it works, is there a really quick, I'll say, I won't say 60-second pitch, but let's just say 120.
90 seconds. I can do it in 90 seconds.
90 seconds. Okay, good.
Okay, so everybody knows Walmart, Sam's Club, Costco, BJ's, right? Wholesalers, they buy stuff in bulk, right? So a lot of people may or may not know this, but the government doesn't just make things, right? The government needs people to make things for them. So DLA stands for the Defense Logistics Agency, and they're a subsidiary of the Department of Defense. However, they're very unique because they have this like autonomy, or they have the ability to service things outside of the Department of Defense. So they take care of like Health and Human Resources, Department of Education, Transportation, National Park Service, Forest Service, Coast Guard, whatever, right? So what DLA is they're like a supply depot, right? And they are a Costco or a BJ's or a Sam's Club for the government, right? But they're just listed as a subsidiary of the Department of Defense. And then us as firms, when we bid on solicitations for DLA, what we're doing is stocking their shelves. And then when the Department of Transportation or Education or Health or Department of Defense needs something, they actually go and conduct those interagency transactions from DLA. So they purchase the material from DLA. So basically, it's just like a big supply depot for the government, and they handle the logistics, and they just happen to be classified as a Department of Defense agency.
You help me understand, because I'm kind of like, I don't really understand how it falls into place with those. The two agencies are doing a transaction after they get the item from you.
Correct. Often from DLA if they need like a physical product.
Got it. Okay, so are there any products that DLA absolutely does not sell, or house, I should say, that you've thought of?
I've seen some crazy stuff. Like I've seen somebody make a living off of selling whistles. I've seen somebody run up like 20K off of selling Bibles. I've seen somebody run up a really nice bag. Like it wasn't it was like 12, 13 grand, but like she made like 7 grand off selling like rosaries. I've had people sell like chapstick. I've had people sell, like one of my best friends, he sold like bread knives, like legit, like the serrated knives that you use to cut like a French baguette. I don't know if there's anything that they like don't buy. They buy a lot of stuff. There are some things that are harder to sell, like munitions or like nuclear equipment or like any kind of weapon system. Those are a little bit harder, but they buy over 16 million different line items, and there's over 114 PSC codes, which is basically like the way that the government classifies different product markets. It's a lot more granular than NAICS codes. So 16 million different line items and 114 different product markets. There's not too much that they don't buy.
Wow. So what are some of the hottest items like right now? Because I'm sure there's always hot items, but what right now, maybe based on the change in administration?
Yeah, so I did a little bit of research on this for you guys, and I looked in FPDS, which is the Federal Procurement Data System. So that houses every single transaction that the government has ever conducted since 1978, right? So it goes back really, really far. And I sorted it specifically by DLA, and then I looked at date sign, and I examined specifically Q1. So I'm gonna give you guys one that like is kind of niche, but it makes sense. And then the second one I'm gonna give you, you're gonna be like, there's no way. The first one is water treatment equipment, which I would have never thought. And this is like, I'm not talking about like big filters or big tanks. I'm talking about like, I have my water bottle right here. I'm talking about like the little filters that you would put on the caps, right, for your water bottle to filter that. Or I'm talking about like the little filters that you can tie underneath like your sink faucet to give you like drinking water, right? So water treatment equipment, the pumps, the components, a lot of that has popped up. I've been seeing a lot of that. Now, this second one, this was kind of funny because I just took my dog to the dentist today to get her teeth cleaned. They're buying a lot of veterinary equipment, like not human medical equipment, but like veterinary medical equipment for like all of the service animals and things like that. That showed up a bunch in Q1. And the way that I picked those two things is I was like, okay, let me give you guys something that they're buying frequently that a lot of people also aren't talking about. So that's some free sauce for you guys. You guys can look up those PSC codes, the veterinary equipment. Nobody on the internet is talking about that.
So do you, going off script, so hope you're ready, but do you tell people to generally go after products that they are familiar with, or do you just say, hey, whatever is easiest for you to access?
So I used to have a different approach to this, you know, and as the landscape changes, information changes, and then us as creators / educators, thought leaders, whatever you want to call it, our information also has to change, right? So I used to tell people, I was like, okay, here's how it's going to go ahead and pick, you know, 20 different product markets. We're going to go throw them into FPDS. We're going to do our market research, et cetera, right? Now, how I've been doing it, or how I tell people, is let's start big picture and then work our way backwards. So I tell people, okay, what are your financial goals, right? So oftentimes the example I like to use is people want to replace $100,000 worth of income, or they want to generate $100,000 worth of income. So if we break that down, it's 8.34K a month. And then if we break it down even further, it's $2,090 a week, right? So then I tell people, I'm like, okay, if we know that we want to break things down to, you know, a granular level, the place that you started is, okay, we've worked backwards. We've identified how much we need to generate weekly, right? Then I send people to this website. If you guys got a pen and paper, write this down. This is sauce.
Write it down.
Send people to this website, psctool.us. psctool.us. I used to send people to everyspec.com to find all the FSC codes. But the reason why I send people to psctool.us is, and for anybody that doesn't know, PSCs are product service codes. They're the 4-digit identifiers for different product markets that the government purchases. So think NAICS codes, but a lot more granular, like a lot more specific, right? So the reason why I send people to this website is because when you search for a product, or when you search a product service code, oftentimes people would only look at like that one product market, like for instance, let's say water filters, right? But when you go to psctool.us, it shows you all the other related PSC codes that could have been previously replaced by that PSC code you're looking at, or the ones that have been consolidated, right? So you could go ahead and search for one PSC code, and then you might end up finding, like the example that I did with some clients yesterday, there was 58 other PSC codes that were all related to that, right? So we've identified, the income that we want to replace. Then we go to this website, we look at psctool.us, we go look at a product market, and then we head to FPDS. If you have a piece of paper, please write this down. This is like the real sauce. Then we take the PSC codes and we go to FPDS. All right. And then we sort by date signed. So we typically look within the last 5 to 10 years, right? It's big enough to give us like a depiction of like what this product market's historical buying cycle is, but it's not too big to the point where the results are so macro or so widespread we can't interpret the information, right? So 5 to 10 years, and then you want to click agency DLA. So now we're looking at all the transactions DLA has done for this material, or has all the transactions that DLA has conducted to purchase this material within the last 5 to 10 years, right? Now the real sauce, all right?
Super sauce.
The top right of the FPDS page, you're going to go ahead and you're going to click export as a CSV file. And you're going to take all that data and you're going to put it in an Excel sheet. All right. You're going to take all that data, you're going to put it in an Excel sheet, and then you're going to generate a pivot table. So you're going to click an empty cell in Excel.
Wait now. Wait now. Okay. You got to slow down for those of us in the back. Okay. So let's start over. So I'm sorry. FPDS. I didn't mean to cut you off. I know you was on a roll, but I just want to make sure.
Yes. FPDS.
Yes.
You want to search by that PSC that you just identified in psctool.us. Okay. And then you get those results within the last 5 to 10 years. You want to click top right of the screen, export as a CSV file. Okay. Now you're going to get that, and it's going to be in an Excel sheet. So you're going to open it in Excel, and then you're going to click pivot table. You're going to click the little insert tab, and you're going to generate as a pivot table. Okay. You're going to generate the pivot table. And then this is the real sauce. This is the nugget right here. Then you're going to sort the results of the pivot table by transaction size. So now you're going to see all the transactions that DLA has done. And then you're going to put in whatever income you're trying to replace weekly, right? So let's say it's $2,000. You're going to sort everything by all the transactions that are within, your threshold. So if people want to make $2,000 a week, I say, okay, your ceiling is 1,000 and then your max is, 4,000. So you don't over leverage yourself. And then you're going to sort by that, and you're going to look at all the transactions that fall within that range out of what you just extracted from FPDS. If there's a lot, or there's, a suitable amount of transactions, it's going to be up to you as a business owner to determine, what market size is going to be, suitable for you. If there's enough in there, then boom, that's a product market that statistically and financially is going to meet the needs that you're looking for. And then the last step is you want to take that PSC code and then throw it into DIBBS, see if the government is looking for those items currently. Ideally, I tell people you want to find at least like 200 records. Records or solicitations or contract opportunities. 200 records is pretty good because that'll keep you occupied enough to go through that and request quotes. And for anybody that's like a bit confused about what I just did, my last YouTube video, I have like a diagram where I showed everybody like step by step how to do that. But that is my new 2025.
What's your YouTube channel?
It's my name. It is Cantave. And that's it. My most recent video, I showed you guys step by step how to do it with like a little flow chart and everything. But when I tell people how to pick products, we start backwards. How much income do you want to generate? Then we go see if the government actually buys it. Then we go see, do they buy it in the quantities? There's 3 things that we're looking for: the quantity of transactions, the frequency of the transactions, right? So like if they're buying it, pretty often. And then 3, the ticket size of the transaction. So if they're fitting within the parameters that we've identified, right, then we know that that's a good product market. So that's how we're doing it. That was some free game for you guys right there.
He just gave you the whole YouTube video right here, because it's probably going to be rewinded a lot. So that's really, really great. So make sure you check out his YouTube channel. He is literally the DLA king. So we got a question in here real quick from Chris Hill. He said, could you explain the difference between level 1, level 2, and level 3 of the CMMC certification that DLA is requiring businesses to have?
Okay, so for those of you guys that don't know, CMMC is a acronym, and it stands for Cybersecurity Maturity Model Compliance, right? So this is basically making sure that you have cybersecurity measures in place for your business. So a lot of people hear this and then they start freaking out, and understandably so, because the government doesn't give us like a lot of clarity in terms of like what the penalty will be if we don't comply, right? So level 1, level 2, and level 3 are the three like differentiators, right? So level 1 is like for about like 70% of the contracts are going to require you to have a level 1 certification. But don't freak out. Stay with me here. Level 1, you can self-certify. You can 100% self-certify. You can do that by fill out a survey, and you literally answer questions about like what standard operating procedures you have for your cybersecurity, and then you're controlled of unclassified information. And just to give you guys some context as to how like entry level it is, it's like, okay, do you keep your documents in a file cabinet? Are they under a lock and key? If you sign into your Outlook or your Gmail, like, do you have a password, right? So don't freak out. This is just like basic stuff that you would have done anyways, right? So that's a self-certification. Then you're going to have level 2, which is going to usually have to be done by, or not usually, it is going to have to get done by an assessor. So somebody that's going to come to your facility and they're going to conduct an assessment as to the processes that you have in place, the security measures you have in place, right? And remember, 70% of the contracts that are contract opportunities that are out there on DIBBS, they're only going to require level 1. Level 2 is once you start getting into like some higher level things that are critical application safety items, right? So things that are going to end up on marine vehicles or land armament vehicles, okay, or like aircraft, right? So that's level 2, and that's just to be able to sell the stuff, right? And then you get level 3. Level 3 is predominantly for manufacturers. So if you're going to make something to mil spec, which is shorthand for military specifications, you're going to need to have level 3 because you're going to need to access, there's a million different words for this item out there, but tech docs / blueprints / drawings, those are all the same thing. Those things can be used interchangeably, but for level 3 certification, you are going to be required, or to manufacture something, you're going to be required to have a level 3 certification, because you're going to need to access the tech docs, blueprints, drawings, whatever, because the government is saying, hey, here's what we want to end up on this, F-35 fighter jet. This is what we want. And for us to tell you how we want it, we need you to get this certification to be able to access these documents, so we know that it's not falling into the wrong hands. Now, in terms of like the actual requirements of when this is supposed to go in place, I have it on very good authority, like top dog in the government contracting space. They've been kicking this can down the road since 2007. So they say that January 1st of 2026 is when it's going to be required. We shall see. They've been kicking this can down the road for the past 18 years, but at the very least, everybody can get level 1. It's free of charge. It's a self-certification. You literally fill out an application like on your own, on your free time, and you literally say, yes, we have file cabinets. Yes, our Google Drive or our Zoho or our Salesforce is password protected. Yes, we make sure that we're on our own, Wi-Fi network that has a password. Yes, we make sure that we're not giving, this information to anybody outside of like our organization. So that's the overview, or the, CMMC entry level or breakdown for you guys.
So I appreciate you like even specifying it for people who are going to be working in DLA. So I'm assuming, and I'm really bad at understanding what this actual certification is for. And I just kind of like la 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 la, and I'm just being transparent, right? So does this apply to everything, everyone who's doing government contracting? That's the first question. And then 2, what about those people who are just by way of selling things? Like, even if I'm buying from a manufacturer, do I need to be level 3?
No. Level 3 is required only if you are straight up making something. Like if you have a machine shop and you have some guys back there with gloves on that are straight up laser cutting titanium to give to the U.S. Air Force, right? That's the only thing level 3 is for. Level 2 is to be able to sell higher level things that are going to end up, like, let's say maybe it's not mil spec, right? So the government doesn't want to manufacture it, but like the government wants to buy something that's going to end up on a fighter jet, and you're getting it pre-made, and it's a critical application safety item. Okay, there's your level 2. Level 1 is going to be for things like the veterinary items that we talked about, or like the water purification items that we talked about, right?
Gotcha. And this is the standard, the CMMC, that's the standard across the board, even outside of products.
Well, I can't speak on outside of products. Here's what I know. Here's what I do know about stuff outside of DLA. CMMC is going to be a requirement, supposedly as of January 1st, 2026, for Department of Defense contractors. There's a lot of speculation on when they're going to give us like a hard and fast deadline for people outside of the Department of Defense. I haven't heard anything about that, but if you're doing business with DoD selling products, then you need CMMC. In terms of the services aspect, I haven't heard anything about that. If you were required to have a CMMC certification for something, your contracting officer is going to let you know, especially if this is one that you've like got a relationship with. They're going to be like, hey, by the way, this is on my desk and I want to, give this to you because I want to get it off my desk. But by the way, just make sure you fill out this self-assessment for CMMC.
Got it. Yeah, that's the part I think that I remember it's for DOD. So just remember, you all, like, that is, first of all, it's federal. So, we talk about everything on this channel.
Yeah, if you are doing state or local, you don't need to.
Yeah, there's no beef, but it's also for DOD. There's so many other federal agencies that you could do work with. So just something to think about when people are saying, oh my God, I got to get CMMC, and they're not even working with that agency. So just remember that that's not always going to be a hindrance. Make sure he's dropping some serious thoughts. So don't forget about the super chat. Don't forget about the super chat, y'all. So we got another question. Shada Wilson said, how important is the C folder? How important is the C folder? Do I need been new to?
I get her question. Okay. How folder, do I need it? I'm new to DIBBS. Yeah. So C folders are those drawings or technical documents or blueprints that I just mentioned. I tell new companies, I'm like, listen, don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Get a bunch of stuff underneath your belt, then go touch that. I was literally just working with a company last night, and they were like, oh, well, we want to do C folders. And I went home yesterday. So like I'm in Florida. My parents live like 2 hours away. So I went to go visit them. And I'm in my mom's office working because I didn't have my normal setup. And then she walks in, she kicked me out of her office, rightly so. She's the boss. But she overhears one of our companies, one of our clients say, hey, what about C folders? And my mom storms over and she's like, no, don't do it. It's a pain in the ass. So we're an approved distributor for Lockheed Martin, and we've been doing this for like almost 6 years, and we still get headaches from C folders. So I tell you guys, one, they're not important. You don't need it to be a 7-8 figure, 6, 7, 8 figure business. You don't need access to C folders to be a 6, 7, 8 figure business with DLA. And then number 2, there's just a lot of red tape that surrounds not really getting the certification. You need a JCP certification to access them. It's more so once you are able to access them, you have to just make sure your manufacturer is in compliance with so many different things. Oftentimes, you're going to have to give the government a prototype, which usually comes in the form of an FAT, which is a first article test. And I'm not a fan of those for a bunch of reasons, but in layman's terms, basically, it's just going to take you way longer to get paid.
Okay, because I don't know what a C folder is. So, so you're saying a C folder is something that you don't, well, obviously you say you don't need it. So,
no, you don't need access to it. So it's something you get access to, and it's literally a document that contains the blueprints or the drawings for something the government wants made.
I see. Okay, so that's something that why are people asking? Do they need that? Where are they seeing this?
So when they typically are looking on DIBBS, right, they're going to see a lot of solicitations that are going to say tech docs, right? So technical documents are within C folders. So they're the blueprints, and people will click on these solicitations thinking, I want to sell this. Like I want to sell this water purification equipment, for instance, right? They'll click the link, and then they will try to get more information about the solicitation. So then they will click the tech docs link to get the information about the solicitation, and then it'll take them to a page that says you need C folders access. Enter your username and password.
Got it. Got it. Okay, because I'm like, where if we don't need it, why we talk about it? So I totally get it. Okay, got it. And thank you so much, Ivan, for the love and support as always. Thank you. That's the first super chat, y'all. The first one. Okay, so she said, Shada Wilson said, I have access, but did not understand if I needed collaboration.
So yeah, no, you did not need you didn't need it. It wasn't a requirement. Now you're able to access those documents. If you have a good relationship with a manufacturer that you trust, you could go ahead and send them, that blueprint and ask them, be like, hey, can you make this to these specifications? Well, within your prerogative to do so. If you're a new business owner, I caution against it. They can be very high ticket contracts, but there's a lot of red tape that comes with that.
Okay, well, I hope that answered your question. So our next question is probably something that everybody needs to know, wants to know. And what's funny, okay, I always tell my kids this because I'm like, why do you have questions? You shouldn't ask me anything ever. You guys got AI. We had to read an encyclopedia, okay, the whole Britannica series to get one answer. Well, you shouldn't ask me anything. You got AI. So that's the question, basically. Are you using AI? Are you encouraging people to use AI? Has it changed the landscape?
So I'm gonna come out and say it because I've been trying to keep this a secret, but like apparently I'm doing a bad job and I'm getting hit from like all sides with this question.
Okay.
So as of right now, we are currently working on we're in the process of creating a software that we're looking to launch within the next 30 to 60 days that uses AI to pick products for the user and then identify the contracts that are most suitable for the user. So I can't even say it's out of the bag because it's been out of the bag. Like I've been getting asked about it, and they're like, "When is it launching?" I was like, "I talked about it once on like a live stream like months ago. I don't know how you guys remembered."
You heard it here second, okay? You heard it here second.
But to answer the question, yes. So we are using AI to help you guys fast track the market research aspect of picking products, and then obviously once you pick a product, there's a couple hundred contracts available for that product. How do you know which contract is going to be best for you, right? Some contracts you pay for the shipping. Some contracts the government is going to come to your place to do an inspection. Sometimes they won't. Some contracts you're going to be required to have a certification. Some contracts they won't. Some contracts you have to be in compliance with like a quality assurance certification. Some contracts you won't. So what we're doing is we're working on getting API keys, which is basically like a way to integrate different websites, if you will. And we're working on integrating the system that DIBBS has for hosting all the solicitations with our algorithm that I created. And then it's going to scan them. You guys are going to put in your metrics, and then it will tell you, okay, based off of, you said you want to spend anywhere between 1,000 and 4,000, right? And then let's say you're a veteran-owned, woman-owned small business and you don't want to pay for the shipping, and this is, what products you think interest you. Okay, it's going to spit back out. These are the products that we recommend. Then you're going to go through the products, you'll pick them, and then it'll say, okay, these are all the available contract opportunities for this product. But based off of the other metrics that you told us, let's say there's 500, I think only 125 are going to be suitable for you. So that's what we're working on right now. And then in terms of other people using AI, there is a way to submit quotes in batches. So you can bid on like 20 contract opportunities at a time in DIBBS. We're working on that. It's taken a little bit of time to get the integration done just because it's the federal government. So we've had to fill out like a lot of paperwork, and we've been working on that for some months. Hopefully by the end of this year, that will be up and running as well. So to make a long answer short, yes, we are using AI. It's coming. It is on the horizon. We just gotta accept it at this point.
Wow, no, that's significant to have something that's going to help. It's helping you, okay, because you're helping the user, and the user is getting more of a curated plan, because sometimes 100%. It's just impossible to know because you're brand new, you don't know anything, and then it's you're like, well, I don't know what the hell you can do, like you said, like based on their geographical location, if they have this type of certification, it takes a lot of time to navigate through. So yeah, I totally get that. And I want to answer Michelle Kane's question because there's a couple of things that are intertwined with that, and I'll come back to some other stuff. So she said, I've never seen a website or know anything about government contracting. Is it possible to get childcare contract to provide daycare services. So of course I will answer that. Absolutely, there is. Of course, we're talking about products and DLA for this video, but Michelle, we do have a subscription service that we just rolled out where we have 3 tiers of subscription service proposal writing for you. So you either get solicitations that you work on your own, or we help you design, or we actually do all the entire gamut for you, where we design, put it together, submit it based on your geographical location, and it's a monthly subscription service. So you are welcome to check that out, and I'll put that website out there. But of course, DLA is not connected to childcare. So going back to what you said with the different types of products and what maybe the requirements. So I don't know why I don't remember you mentioned the certifications being a part of that. So am I a dream? I'm a Black female veteran. Am I a dream in DLA compared to the real government contracting world? Is it more prevalent?
No, 100%. You are a unicorn. You're like, my mom is a Black woman and she owns a business. We're a hub zone, woman-owned business. But boy, if she was a veteran, she was like, damn, maybe I should just go and just like break my leg, like really quickly, just to get like the SDVOSB cert. But yeah, not if you have that. So there's some caveats, right? If you are a woman-owned business and then a veteran-owned business, obviously there's set-asides for you, and then the set-asides that DLA prioritizes throughout the year change, right? So some points of the year it's like, okay, we're prioritizing women-owned small businesses.
Right.
Sometimes it's service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses. Sometimes it's historically underutilized business zone small businesses, right? So if you just happen to be 2 out of 3 or all 3, you're a juggernaut.
That's what everyone says, okay? But then you're out here like, where the contracts at? Like, of course I know what usually happens, and this is for the group, but if I get a set aside, veteran-owned contract, they just check the box for the woman-owned or hub-owned. It's not like it makes a difference in their numbers, but it could be, I just have more ability to go after multiple things. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out.
Sometimes they'll use it and they're like, well, this is really a SDVOSB, but we're just going to check it because it's we're going to say it's a woman-owned and a hub zone, and we're going to use it.
Right.
So
using me up. Just using me up. But I get it. But yeah, he's definitely dropping some. Make sure y'all don't forget the super chat. So I got a question that's off script again. Okay. Who is your perfect client? Now that you're building this AI, like what is a perfect avatar where this person comes to you and you're like, oh my goodness, you're making my life easier to help you?
So this is a really good question. We talked about this during our team meeting on Tuesday, right? What is our perfect client? So ideally, we're looking for somebody who either has a job that they want to get out of or is a business owner. And the reason why I mentioned the job they want to get out of, I noticed it's really hard for people who are like, okay, I want to do this as a side hustle and like keep my job. Just being fully transparent. Like if you want to get good at it, it's not going to be something that you can do 1 foot in, like one foot out. Just being 100% transparent. I don't want to mislead anybody, right? So somebody who has a job they're looking to get out of or already has an existing business. And then ideally we're looking for people who want to move quickly, like people who have an accelerated timeline, because the whole purpose of the AI is we've estimated it's going to cut down your time by about like 70%, right? So we're looking for people who are looking to move quickly. Some people, they're like, I want to get started, and then it happens when it happens. But we're looking for somebody who's like, okay, my time horizon is really short. I always tell the story of one of my first clients. When we started working together, he was like, dude, my wife, she's 5 months pregnant, and like I got twins on the way. Like I got to make something shake. And she actually delivered prematurely. The twins came out in 3 months as opposed to 4 months, right? But he was on it, and by the time his wife had the babies, he had already won like 4 contracts, and he was nearing 6 figures in like 3 months, right? So I'm looking for people like that. I'm looking for the people who are like, I gotta make something shake like right now, right? And then I'm also looking for people who are somewhat, you don't have to be like super fluent, but somewhat cool with like talking on the phone and sending emails at the very least, because there is I'm going to drop a little bit of a nugget for you guys right here. The contracts that we're going to, input into the software, right? Those are going to be published contracts, right? But realistically, one of the things that we're integrating in our training, which we're going to talk about during our next boot camp, there's a gray area of contracts that do not have to get posted on sam.gov or DIBBS, right? So there's the micro purchase threshold, which is $10,000 or less. Then there's the simplified acquisition threshold, which is $250,000 or more. But there's a nice little gray area that I recently learned about that's between 10 grand to 25 grand, right? And you can actually get these contracts issued to you if you have a very good relationship with anybody who either does the purchasing or creates the requisition, which is like the requirement for the contract, right? And you can get those by checking in with people, very, very frequently. And the way that you build credibility when you check in with these people is, by actively pursuing these contracts. So one of the things that we want to see from, our avatars or our users is like, okay, yes, you're going to be using the software to find the published contracts, but our goal is not just to make you like, okay, one-dimensional. We want you guys to also be comfortable getting on the phone and sending emails, so that way you can also get those unpublished contracts. So it's really like AI should be supplementing like your administrative work, right? But then we still want you guys to build a business here. We're still looking for people who are, you don't have to be extroverted, but at least you're willing to like pick up the phone and like have a conversation with somebody. Ideally, that's what we're looking for.
So that sweet spot, is that like, are they able to, is it called sole sourcing, or is it just kind of like they have the ability and they just do it?
So it's not a sole source in like the traditional sense of like the word in government contracting. This is, so it's actually legal and it falls underneath this clause, right? So there's the best price clause and then there's the best value clause, right? So the best price is okay, cheapest price, and then the best value is like, okay, you might get it to us in the fastest amount of time, or the quality of or the quality of the packaging is going to be the best, whatever the case may be, right? Those are the two most common clauses that contracts are issued under, and you can see this in FPDS. It's public information. There's a third clause which is called the trade-off clause, and this clause is essentially, it just translates to like the relationship clause, or like okay, you're not necessarily the cheapest price, you're not necessarily the best value, but I know you, I like you, and I trust you, so we can go ahead and we can issue this to you. And it also falls within that gray area, so I don't really have to publish this on sam.gov. So there's DLA solicitations that are oftentimes listed on SAM, but they don't have to get published there, and you guys can sink your teeth into those without those actually being published.
Wow, that is a nugget, because I'm thinking about when I've done micro purchases, it's usually because they got that threshold, and then the ones that end up on SAM are usually what they say over 25,000. So
yeah, there you go, between 10 and 25. That's a little sweet.
Okay, I really, really like that. Okay, so since you are so, and I can appreciate this, since you are so granular with your clients, right? Where I don't know if you have different tiers, but nonetheless, you're really hands-on with their success, because you're even that matrix you gave, you're like, well, how much money do you want to make per week? It's like no one really pushes that out. No one really thinks about that, but that will help someone understand, okay, where do I need to be? You're doing a lot of business development there. So why do some people quit? Like, why do some people say, even after they pay for your program, and then you got to chase them down and they never respond to an email, and you're like, what the hell? What do you think some of those reasons are?
So this is, I knew the reason, but I didn't know how to articulate it until recently. People are going after they're going after the wrong people in the business, right? So everybody thinks, okay, I need to go after exclusively contracting officers, right? And yes, that is true, because contracting officers can, they have the authority to make the purchase. However, the people that are generating the requirements are the people that you really need to be getting in front of. And I want to use this to like give you guys the LinkedIn sauce as I get towards the end of this answer. But it's the people who are generating the requirements. So those are going to be people like, this is real sauce, like real, get a pen and paper. These are going to be people like your SMEs, so your subject matter experts. These are going to be people like your technical specialist. These are going to be people like, these are the big ones. These are the real sharks that you guys need to talk to. The program managers, those are the guys that you need to be finding, right? And then the contract officer representatives, the cores, those are really like, there's a longer list, but those are the real people that you need to be having these interactions with. And a lot of people, they get their horse blinders on. They're like, okay, well, if they're not a contracting officer, I don't want to talk to them, or I'm not going to respond to this email, or I'm not going to make this phone call. And a lot of people, they get this like one track mindset where it's like, well, if they're not the person that's swiping the card, then I don't need to talk to them. And the people that are issuing these requirements, those are the people that you need to talk to. So I notice a lot of times people are like, well, the contracting officer didn't want to talk to me, so I can't get a response. So I'm throwing in the towel. And I'm like, well, did you go look at like who's running the program or where this money is like coming from? Like, no, I don't really care. And I'm like, well, if you go talk to the person that issued the requirement, they can speed things along, or they can circumvent the entire process, go to a higher up, have that person who has purchasing authority come talk to you, and then take care of the solicitation, right? So I notice people kind of get a one-track mindset when it comes to the business development aspect, right? Because we can give you the technical stuff and tell you what to do, but at the end of the day, it's a people business, right? And yes. I notice a lot of times people are focusing on the wrong people.
Ooh, that I gotta highlight that. But before I do that, Miss Wilson, thank you so much for the super chat. Truly appreciate it. This is confirmation because I was working silently with my API with Excel and AI. Okay, she's doing her thizzle. Yes, I think we're all creating. ChatGPT is helping us create like another GPT or another AI software. We're like, how do I build?
Yeah, how do I build this kind of AI?
Yes, so we all live in the same life, and good for you for even doing that. So I want to highlight that because truly, that is something I think I talked about in one of my last videos is, yeah, the contracting officer is going to be here, and they're the ones that's usually saying, yes, this is how much money that the agency has. But the person who's buying is usually going to be the main difference. I had a great relationship with a contracting officer. He worshiped the ground I walk on. I'm not going to tell a lie. But there was an opportunity that he could have sole sourced to me, but he was the facilities manager, hated my guts. We had already done a project with him. And when I tell you that man was like, you better not say Sheena's name around here. I could have been I was probably a little sassy, but it was a very tough contract and we were all frustrated. So I probably wasn't on my best behavior. I wasn't rude. I was still professional, but he just didn't like my attitude. The contracting officer was like, I'm sorry, I can't. He doesn't want to work with you. And I was like, me? Sweet Sheena? No, he wasn't trying to hear it. So to your point, yes, you need to know who the people are that are making decisions. They may not have the money necessarily, but they're the ones that saying yay or nay, I want to work with this company. If they already have some kind of intel about you, or even if they may not want to work with certain demographics of people. And they're the ones that's actually having those closed door meetings that you don't know anything about. And you try to butt up the contracting officer, but the contracting officer could be in Alaska and the job could be in Florida. And so they're not even in the place to say, yeah, let that person come in. So that is a really, really important point. Thank you for
I want to just drop a little bit of sauce for you guys about the LinkedIn thing. All right. So everybody's like, okay, how do I find these people? Go to LinkedIn, click on the organization. So go search DLA, go look at the employees. People don't know this because LinkedIn's user interface is kind of funky. But if you click on the organization and you're looking at the employees, you can type in all of those words I just mentioned: relationship specialist, subject matter expert, technical specialist, contracting officer representative, program manager, and you can search via the titles of the employees in LinkedIn, and you go find the person who works at DLA Aviation OEM, which is Original Equipment Manufacturer Division. Go find that program manager and then be like, hey, I have this solicitation that needs to get done. They're not the person that has the card to swipe it, but you better believe they're giving the orders to the person who is swiping the card. So that's who you guys need to be going to talk to, and that's how you would find them.
LinkedIn ethical stalking. Guy Timberlake talked about it. Bridget Fields talked about it. Day is talking about it. I've talked about it. LinkedIn stalking. And a lot of times they don't mind. Some of them are not going to be, I'll put that caveat in there. Sometimes the government employees are not going to be that active on LinkedIn, but you can just kind of see like what their hobbies are. Like what if they're in the water polo and then you can just
went to school.
Those are the things that you can bring up when you're, reaching out or communicating with them. They're like, oh, change the whole conversation. They get real soft. Like, my daughter also plays volleyball. It's just one of those things where you can just use to your advantage. That's what a lot of people do. Like you said, higher ups, that's what they do. So as far as pricing goes, now has pricing changed with the new administration? You mentioned best value earlier, but like has any types of pricing strategies changed as far as you're concerned?
Okay, so they haven't changed super crazily. I did talk about, if you want to make more profit, if you want to increase your bottom line, it's going to be lowering your overhead, just because this administration is all about efficiency, right? So I did mention that. However, I'll give you guys some more free sauce. You guys better like, comment this. You guys better
all of it.
Video up because I'm dropping straight sauce. You guys need to like, comment, blow this video up.
Yes.
I'm not gonna. There's not been a change in pricing, but there is a way to determine what margin you should be doing, and it's published. It's public information for every single product market. You know exactly what the government is expecting to pay. It's this thing, and Ivan's definitely heard me talk about this before. Shout out Ivan.
Shout out to Ivan.
PPI, the Producer Price Index, which is published by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's public information. It's a PDF. It comes out July of every year. They're about to give us the 2025 version. You go in there, you look at your product market, and it tells you what is the percentage increase that the Bureau of Labor Statistics has observed in this product market year over year. Sometimes it's 12%, sometimes it's negative 1%, and it went down. But you go look at the PPI, it tells you, like, I think there was one thing, and it was like power tools or something like that was up like 12%, right? So you can mark it up 10%, knowing that the government's reasonably expecting a 12% increase. You're undercutting the rest of the market by looking at the Producer Price Index, which is published by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the PPI published by the BLS.
So you just kind of sparked a memory. So I think we talked about everything, and I want to loosely say this, or maybe say it tightly, that everything that you purchase has to be in the US. Is that true, not true?
I've learned there's some loopholes. So if it's under $10,000, the Buy American Act does not apply. And then there's also a rule now. There's a caveat, a loophole that they wrote into the clause where the material can be manufactured outside the US, but if it's assembled, like put together inside the US, then you can be technically in compliance with the Buy American Act. Now, the percentage that has to be assembled in the US is going to vary based on each product market, but there are some loopholes that I just discovered. So
when we say assembled, like meaning I got my ring light right here where you got to like physically snap it together. Are we talking about that?
It really depends on each product market, right? So basically what I'll explain so there's no confusion is like, okay, let's say the LEDs, right? Like the diodes that are inside the light that generate like that color that we're looking for, right? And then let's say the plastic covering that goes around the light, and then let's say like the little clips that lock the light into place, right? Those are all manufactured in, let's say, Taiwan, and then they get shipped here to the US. And then somebody's like, okay, I'm going to put this clip on top here, and I'm going to encase this light here, and I'm going to make sure that this light goes inside there. That's what I mean by assembly. Now, the actual threshold for what percentage of the material has to get assembled in the US, that's going to vary by product market. So be advised that there are loopholes, but you have to double check them. And then if it's under $10,000, then you don't have to be in compliance with it, which I just learned about.
Okay, so just going back to that, so the repackaging. So is that, I know we all watch War Dogs, right? So we're not gonna repackage bullets or anything like that. But I just want to make sure that people understand it. The loophole is kind of like, it's not illegal. We're still covering it. But if I'm gonna do this, I want to essentially do it right. So can we repackage this? Because we're adding
us as the firms, we can't repackage it. But an example would be manufacturers in Taiwan, and then their authorized distributors here in the US, right? And then their distributor is assembling it here in the US. So one of the things I tell people, I'm like, okay, if it's made in Taiwan, let's not throw in the towel just yet. Let's call the vendor back and be like, did you guys assemble this here? Yes. How much? All of it? Okay, cool, kind of thing.
Got it. Or we can just do a whole bunch of under $10,000.
You could run it up just like that and live off Temu and Alibaba.
I was just about to say Alibaba. Why not? Okay, so that's definitely some sauce. Okay. So with that, has tariffs come into a conversation that you've had with some of your clients? Or
I've been pretty fortunate. We haven't really had any issues with that. Most of the approved sources that the government wants is getting stuff from are US based companies, or they're at least authorized distributors in the US for companies that make stuff outside the US. So most of the stuff that we're getting, even if it has a lead time, it's in the US already. So we've been really fortunate. We have not, I'm very blessed to say this, and fingers crossed, knock on wood, that like this doesn't change. Thankfully, working with the Department of Defense, Doge hasn't touched any of that. Like the DoD has been untouched by Doge. And then we've been very, very fortunate that like all of the products that we sell haven't been impacted by tariffs. So we've been very fortunate that we're in like this little bubble of like military spending that I don't think anybody wants to mess with.
That is so funny. I was just telling my daughter's in the Army, for those who don't know. She's brand spanking new. And I said, you're the only one out here not fighting for your life. Like, you are totally protected. Y'all got this big ass raise, and everybody else out here is like fighting like the purge. And you're in the military just like, la, 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 everything is good. To your point, DOD is just kind of chilling for now. Like you said, hopefully everything will be
fingers crossed.
But it's just like, it really is one of those safe areas at this moment. So I can appreciate that. So another thing, have you had anyone well, you just said that there has been untouched, but some of the contracts probably, I would assume, are connected to other contracts or other things. So are people losing contracts based on anything else? Maybe not specifically DOD, but
we've been very fortunate that the good thing when you sell to DLA, you're not selling directly to the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, the Coast, DOT. You're selling to DLA, and then when the Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Department of Transportation, or Health and Human Resources or Education needs something, they buy to DLA. So DLA buys from us, and I'm like, out of my hands, like y'all paid me. That wire hit our account. So we've been very fortunate that we've been pretty stable. Like we're in this nice little like incubator.
It's almost like GSA. Okay, because I know we've talked, I know we've been on here, but I feel like when people are asking me about government contracting, and I'm like, I've said it 50,000 times, and I feel like that with learning about DLA. But DLA reminds me of GSA, where it's kind of like a pseudo civilian agency, but inside of
it is like a mix of a civilian and a government agency. And with the new executive order that like Trump put out, and then like the whole Doge thing, they're looking to consolidate procurement, and they want GSA to be like the central buying agency for a lot of this stuff. Now, hold on, before you get mad, I learned from Guy Timberlake on Good Authority, there's a silver lining to this, but I'm going to get to the silver lining in a little bit. But they want GSA to basically consolidate the procurement. They only hit, I believe it was like 8% of their buying goals in the previous year, and they want to increase that to like 40% or something like that. So they're not really like thinking this through when they're like, let's consolidate procurement, let's get it all done in one place. Because it's like, you can't ask somebody in GSA to buy something for like the national prison system. Like that doesn't work. They don't understand that market, right? They can't purchase services. They can't purchase janitorial services when they don't know what the market rate is, or they don't know who the players in the game are, right? So it's not really going to work. What I've been hearing is that it's going to be, it's speculative, right? They say they want to do this. The GSA executive order hasn't really done anything. The Doge stuff, now that's been a little bit unfortunate. Some people have actually been getting dinged by that. But
things, yeah.
The silver lining is, though, GSA was the I think out of all the agencies or all the administrations that were purchasing from small businesses, GSA has the highest rating. Like they hit their small business goal the most out of all the federal agencies. So I got this from Guy Timberlake. I got this on Good Authority from Guy Timberlake. They have an A+ rating. All the government agencies, they rate themselves, right? And
GSA, Go ahead.
I got this on authority from Guy Timberlake. They are one of the only agencies that has an A+ rating in terms of hitting their small business spending goals. So if the government's allocating more money for them, then in theory, what's supposed to happen is that there's supposed to be more money for small businesses. We're going to have to wait and see how this like plays out. But that is what the 2024 fiscal year report said about GSA.
I don't totally disagree with making procurement a lot easier on both ends, but GSA has just so many different paths. Like if we're talking about GSA as a landlord, if you ask anyone that is in a federal building that GSA owns. If they like GSA as a landlord, they're going to say they hate GSA as a landlord.
Really? I've heard that they own a lot of buildings, right?
Yes, and everybody hates them. I mean, I'm just saying, I did a GSA contract, and they're like, I hate GSA. So, and then with the GSA schedule, everyone would have to get on the schedule. And now it's like, I know we're competing already, especially with my industry, janitorial. You're competing with, you know, thousands and thousands of companies. But then on the GSA schedule, like you said, it's a very rigid dollar amount, and it could be other factors where you have to change your price. They're like, no, we press purchase just like you do on Amazon. There's no negotiation on this price. And so, yeah, of course, they're hitting their goals because everyone worked really hard to get into the GSA schedule. So it's kind of like they're giving this report, which I get, and maybe I'm a little misinformed about the other details. And maybe I'm a little emotional about that. But I'm just saying, like, you know, you're making everyone go and do something that I don't necessarily feel is going to be beneficial. It could be, but it also is like now everyone
the intent is there. The intent is there to make it easier on both sides, but let's see how it actually plays out. I've heard that I've heard that like supposedly they have this crazy benchmark that they're supposed to meet, and it's looking like based off of from October to now, it's looking like they're going to be very behind the 8 ball, and supposedly they're going to reevaluate in October. So let's see.
Let's cross our fingers. Okay. I won't bash it too much longer. So Ms. Wilson got a lot of good questions. Is past performance an important requirement also with DIBBS as it is with federal contracts being a new company?
Is past performance an important requirement also with DIBBS? Yes and no. So you get this thing called a SPUR score, which is your supplier performance risk system score. It's literally just a report card, right? In terms, and it details like, okay, are you a risky supplier? Are you a good supplier, et cetera, et cetera. And your SPUR score is impacted by your past performance. If you don't have any past performance, your SPUR score starts out average. And I believe it used to be out of 100, but now they changed it. And I think it's out of like 300. I believe, don't quote me on that, but it's a lot higher than 100 now. It used to be 170 was the baseline, but they've changed it. Past performance is important for your SPUR score, but in terms of winning a contract, it's not going to prohibit you. 60% of the companies that we work with are startups. The only thing that it really adds in terms of like winning a contract with DLA is you're going to have to fill out a little bit more paperwork. Like they're going to send you questionnaires just to verify that you are who you say you are, and you're going to have to pretty much provide them with whatever information they ask. They might ask for like a statement of like your utilities, right, to prove that you actually are in the building that you like say you're in. And then they might ask, be like, okay, you say you're getting this company from this place, but what's the address? What's the address of this manufacturer and like their cage code and something like that. And then it's like, okay, what are the processes that are going to be used to manufacture this, right? So you're going to have to answer a questionnaire here or there if you're brand new, but it's not going to stop you from winning new contracts. 2/3 of the companies that we work with are brand new startups.
So can I do this out of my garage?
100%. There's a video on my YouTube channel. I do testimonials, right, where people come on the channel and they talk about their experience. Shout out Davis. This kid is literally going to college at the University of Iowa, and he's doing it out of his frat house. Like this kid is,
so it's like a shared house.
He's
like
traveling out of a college house. I have people that do this out of apartments. I have literally one of my most successful client success stories. He ran up like 1.5 in an apartment in a high rise in Miami, like a little apartment. He only got a warehouse once he hit like 3 mil. He was literally running up a mil 5 out of his apartment. You can do this in an apartment easy.
So do you have to have the products on hand, or can you?
Hell no, do not hold inventory. I'm so against holding inventory. No, man. You get your pricing and availability in a quote, and then if you win the contract, then you can go ahead and purchase the material. But we are so anti holding inventory. We held inventory for one thing one time, and we got burned on it so bad.
So then, okay, how am I buying it? Let's say it's nuts and bolts. I don't know, and it's $500,000 worth of. That's probably a little ambitious. $100,000 worth of nuts and bolts.
Okay.
And I won the contract.
Mm-hmm.
Am I buying at least some of these? Is it broken up into multiple shipments?
You can do partial shipments if you want to. That's at your discretion. You can do partial shipments. buy 250,000 worth, ship them, get paid, buy the next 250, ship them, get paid. You are able to do that. Oftentimes we teach people how to get net 30, so get things on credit. Sometimes it's half up front, half on the back end, 10%. Really depends on the agreement that you and your vendor are going to have. But partial shipments is a method that we've used. I don't necessarily teach it, just because I caution people, because the longer that you wait to purchase the material in its entirety, that 30-day quote can expire, right? So it's like, okay, it might have been 100 grand when you got the quote. You purchase and ship the first 50,000. The next 50,000 might be 55,000 or 60,000. And if you were at a 10% margin, well, there's your margin kind of thing. So
go ahead.
Just something to be aware of, like, the time that it takes for you to get paid, that timeline is going to accelerate the more business that you do. Like, we've had instances, I don't even really know if I should say this, but we've had instances where we've invoiced the government and we've like told them like, okay, this is going to ship. And then we tell them like, oh, okay, it's shipped, but we did it on like a Friday and then it really got shipped on like a Monday. So before it's even there, they've paid us on like a Tuesday, because they're tracking like the FedEx shipment numbers. So like 72 hours we got paid, but the material is like not
everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing that. It's okay.
Okay. I'm glad to know I have accomplices at least.
Yeah, my kids used to have an Amazon store. So maybe knows. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to ship it. Money, thank you. But like, it's just the lay of the land. It's cool. So okay, with that, now the anticipation is you have to have the money, or you have to have a deal with your vendor, whoever you're working with. That's basically what it is. Or doing it on your own credit, because I hate when people say, oh, you shouldn't use. Sometimes you got to use your own personal credit. It depends on what the situation is, and making sure you're doing it smartly, right? So just for everyone's understanding, I would assume if you broke, you flatline, you ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
You need to start really small and build up. Is that fair to say?
Usually I tell people, I'm like, listen, OPM, other people's money. Get you Amex, 10 grand. We're operating 20%.
Everybody got bad credit, Dave. We can't get no Amex. Everybody got bad credit.
Listen, Amex is giving out. I don't have the gold or the platinum. They're giving out. I got the blue business cash. Get you the blue Amex. You guys don't need to get the gold or the platinum. I got the blue business cash card. The entry level Amex.
We need a secure credit card, Dave. We need a secure credit card. We gotta buy.
Hold on. Wait. Listen. I was when I first started NOMYAD, it was not an educational company. I was just straight up bidding, like on my own business. And then I was like, this is kind of redundant if I'm doing it like with my parents and myself, like kind of redundant. So then I stopped. I had me a little $500 secured line of credit, Discover credit card with a little golden retriever on it. And I had 2 contracts, and that was how I was fulfilling them. $500 secured line of credit. So
okay, that's fair. Thank you. Let's be real about what's really going on out here. Especially there's people losing their jobs. They're like, I'm living off of credit right now. So I just want people to know that. Start small. Use whatever you have. If you can use other people's money, absolutely do that. As long as it makes sense to you, and then take his course. And that's the best thing. So lady said, what's the best industries? Best products maybe right now. I'm
assuming that's what she meant. The best ones, I've been seeing like some crazy ones. Like, I almost don't even want to put all my clients' business out there, but like there's some really interesting stuff that I've been seeing. Like, people are selling like chains and ropes. Like, those are all in like one product market. And like, I got this one lady, she's running up like 25K like contract on like selling the government like fiber board, or not fiber board, but like the ropes that you would use, that you would see on like a farm or something like that. She's selling crazy rolls of that. She's selling chains. I've seen that. I've been trying to tell people to do this for months. Like, probably since the last time I was on your show, I've been telling people to do this. Still not saturated. Power tools, people just don't, I don't know. They just can't be bothered to call up their local like John Deere, or call up Milwaukee, or call up Steel and go run it up off of Home Depot. Power tools is a really good one. I've done a lot of examples on my YouTube channel with lights. Like proper lighting, like LED lighting, like GE, lighting. I've done a lot of examples like that. Kitchen equipment, I've run it up a couple times on kitchen equipment. If you check out my YouTube video in the playlist tutorial section, I literally show you guys like how to go find kitchen equipment on like Walmart.com or like Target.com that the government is willing to buy. So I would say kitchen equipment, power tools, lights, microphones and speakers. That's a really good one. The last video I did, I used that as an example. Like I found a speaker for sale. They buy a lot of microphones, or not microphones, loudspeakers. They buy a lot of like bullhorns, loudspeakers. So those are some nuggets for you guys. You guys better like, comment, subscribe.
Right. Where the super chat? Come on, he's dropping a lot of
with your friends. This is sauce.
And make sure you guys hit like on this video because the likes are not matching the views. So hit like. And this is
we need those likes.
We need those likes. It helps the algorithm. So that goes back to your point about being willing to email and be on the phone, because if you're trying to fulfill this opportunity, you got to be able to communicate with someone else because you don't have the stuff on hand. So I'm glad you kind of like circled that back around. So, all right, we got Ivan, who said he's talking to Ms. Wilson, but we'll read it out. Current student of Day, and I have had currently building for overseas in the UK. My company is stateside based, but Day and his knowledge is the real deal and will help. I remember Ivan was like, I was asking him if I could do it overseas, and he found a way to do it. I was like, okay, I love that. I love it. Loving it. So let's see. You along the way to the letter. Okay. So Tony Jackson said accounts receivable funding is good to use when you don't have good credit. Now, yes, cautiously, because they take a pretty decent percentage depending on what company it is. And sometimes they lock you into every single opportunity you have moving forward. You have to run it through them because essentially you're running the payment is coming to them and then they pay you. Like they pay you in advance. A percentage like 80%. Okay. And then when you get paid or when the company pays, they pay that company, and then you get whatever amount left over, the remaining 20% minus a fee. So it's good when you need money, like because they'll usually fund you in minutes or hours of you submitting the invoice. So just one of those things. Okay, so next we're gonna ask. Like what you've talked about some strategy changes, but specifically, like I know you're building your program, but specifically, what has your company done? Like the one that you have with your, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So we've done a couple things. Gosh, off the top of my head, I'm like drawing a blank. So we're really going to be dialing in like the market research. We've really just streamlined like a lot of our automation, so like our delivery in terms of like getting in touch with the clients. That's just been a lot better, and we're just adding like a lot more sauce in terms of like surplus, selling the government's material back to them. I'm gonna sit up. There's not too many things that I will get up here and I'll be like, okay, I'm the best in the world at, but like that is the one thing that like there's nobody else on the internet that's talking about that because people don't know about it. I'm showing people how to sell the government's old stuff back to them. And that's one thing that like nobody on the internet is talking about. That's all I do. My average margin is about 40% when I do that kind of stuff. And it's not going to be crazy ticket size. Like you're not really going to see anything above like 150, 250 grand, but 40% of 250 grand, like you run the numbers on that, guys. So we're incorporating that. And then one thing that I'm very, very proud to say that I met this phenomenal business owner when I went to Guy Timberlake's training in Detroit last week. She's a beast. Like this woman is just a workhorse. I can't say enough good things about her. She makes the packaging material that DLA requires for their products, and then she interprets the packaging material. So we're gonna have her come on as a guest, and then we're also launching that software that I talked about, the AI, which is going to be it'll be like a monthly fee, and you literally put in your metrics, and then you put in like your logistical capabilities, your bankroll, where you are in the country, et cetera, and then we're going to be offering that as well. And then I I guess I'll say it now because I guess people we're gonna find out, but we're actually gonna go back, or we're gonna get acquired. So my parents are like, you know what? We want to acquire the company back and then just put it all underneath one roof. So we're going to get acquired and we're going to be offering everything as kind of like a one-stop shop for you guys. And we've also got funding partners now. That's changed within the past year. So business credit, that's something that we've also added. So I know sometimes people are like, hey, I won this contract, but I don't really know what to do. So we have this gentleman, his name is Juan Padilla over at Brightwave Solutions. And the moment that you have your invoice, which is now a legally binding agreement between, or I'm sorry, your purchase order, which is a legally binding agreement between you and DLA, he can go ahead and help you get funding with that. So between the software, between the funding, between now it used to be just me. Now we've got a team of like 8 people. So we have, a chief revenue officer, we have a setter, we have a client relations manager, we have automations in place so we don't miss anything. And then adding, that extra sauce of teaching people how to sell stuff to the government, the better market research and the LinkedIn strategies. I think we're just trying to deliver, a lot more value. And our next boot camp is Memorial Day weekend. It's 3 days and it's live. It's Memorial Day weekend. It's recorded for anybody that can't attend. But I don't know if I think Ivan attended the last one, but he definitely, I know he definitely saw it. But our next boot camp is going to be at the end of the month. So anybody that's looking to join or sign up for that, we will get you squared away. So that's kind of some of the. Ivan did attend it. He was there.
He was there. He was in the building. No, that is so dope. So let me make sure I understand. So your parents are actually purchasing your company that you set off to do on your own.
They're gonna acquire it. I don't know if they're gonna give me
acquire it,
but they're gonna acquire it. We haven't worked out the finances of it, but yeah, they're going to be acquiring it. And they're like, let's just put it all underneath one roof. I was apprehensive because my dad said it and then I didn't hear anything from my mom. And then once both of them said it, they're like, yeah, we want to do it. And we're going to go through a rebranding. I was like, okay, that's sweet. Now I know that they're on the same page. Then we're good to go. So yeah, we're going to ideally by Q3, Q4, we'll get that squared away. And we will be acquired.
I love that. So, I'm an auntie. So I'm married by auntie. And I just know, and I got to just say this, I'm sorry, but I know they are just so proud of you. And because my daughter's 20, so she's almost the same age as you. And it's just like, oh my goodness, to have somebody so young like you to be so far in advance of what you're doing, because it doesn't matter truly what your parents have done. There's still some self, ambition you have to have, because people can have the best parents in the world and be pieces of what, and then have terrible parents and be, LeBron, whatever, be the greatest ever. And it's you still have to have some self ambition and motivation to do the things that you're doing. So I know they're just so proud of you. I just love it.
Thank you.
Please don't talk about me being young no more. I'm gonna keep doing it though. People gotta understand. But I say it though because there's a lot of people that come to me in different forms. They come to me, after they're retired. I'm a retirement age. So they come to me retired. They come to me older, like my mom's age. They come to me, with all these degrees, and they still are afraid. And I'm like, okay, you got to look at some other people that you would think they would be more afraid than you. And they're running circles around everybody. So you are one of those people, and I just want to give you your flowers because it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And you're a young man. You could be running around here acting crazy. We already know how it is. And you in Florida? Is that what you said?
I am in Florida. Yeah.
Buck loud. He could be buck loud in Florida right now. He's still over here trying to give y'all some game. Let me see that super chat. Make sure y'all hit like on this video, please. So let's go to, as far as everything that is upcoming usually throughout the year, is there a special time of year where you do different things, or do you buy certain products, you look out for certain things?
This summer is the summer is always the best time because the government's fiscal year ends September 30th. So I always tell people, I'm like, listen, May, June, July, and August, that's when you got to lock in and you got to start submitting those bids, because September, they got to spend that money. If they don't spend at least 80% of the money that they have allocated for their budget, it goes down the next year. And I don't know if you know anything about the Department of Defense's spending, but they do not want to decrease that budget. year over year, I think since like 2007 or something, they have not decreased that budget. We spend more in our defense budget than the next 10 countries do combined. So wow. This time of year that we're about to walk into, May, June, July, and August, is the time to get started and start bidding. Like we had a lot of people that started working with DLA in the early phases of the year, like February, March. And now they're starting to see the fruits of their labor, and they're getting excited. I'm like, just wait. Like give me 90 more days and you're going to see everything that you just did. Like you guys are about to pop off in the summer. So I tell people June, July are like the times where you want to be hitting it hard in terms of like your bid submissions and like you going after the products.
Got it. Okay. So right now, y'all need to lock in right now. Check out his program. He's doing a 3-day boot camp at the end of the month. Check it out. So also with that, so I just think about in my industry, of course, services and labor services, everybody wants to get into facilities. My friend Bridget told me that I'm making everybody turn into a facility manager. I was like, that wasn't my intent necessarily, but I don't care. As long as you get
happen that way.
Just happen to happen that way. So with that, are people like losing bids? Like, how are you not able to win when there's so many things that are sitting out there for a long time? Should you just pick things that maybe have been expired only, or people?
I tell people, so this is like my little niche thing that I tell people is like 90 days. Stuff that's been sitting there for at least 90 days. That's the stuff that's been sitting there for a while, and contracting officers are trying to get off of their desk.
Got it. Okay, so not something that's old, but if it's something that just hit the streets, but it's like my specialty, like
if it's your specialty, you know the contracting officer, you sold it before, okay, fine, go after it. But like something where you know that the manufacturer is bidding on it, and this is one of the things that we're integrating into our software, which is going to launch hopefully next month. We have a competition metric which will show you if the manufacturer is bidding on the contract itself, so you'll know, okay, I don't want to waste my time dealing with this. But if it's something that's brand new and you look in the procurement history and you see the contracting officers won this like the last 8 times, don't waste your time. But if you're the incumbent and you sold it 3-4 times, okay, well, obviously if they tell you, you know, I want you to bid on this, we've had instances where I've sold the same thing 8 times in a row, and like times 6, 7, and 8, they call me at 10 a.m. I'm in the office. By the time I'm getting ready to sit down and eat dinner, they've awarded the contract the same day. So if you're the incumbent, it's a little bit different. If it's your specialty, then, you know, do your thing.
Okay, so you guys use incumbent the same way, because I'm just thinking like if you've sold it, the product is gone, you've gotten paid, you moved on, they put it back out, you do it again and again and again and again for the same exact. Oh, I need to get over here with DLA. You're doing the same thing. You got the formula, so they just want you to continue to provide in that thing, probably delivering it to the same location, everything's the same. And you're considering.
I've had some instances where we've won 2 contracts for the same thing in the same day at different like quantities, and he told me, like the contracting officer told me, he was like, I hope you didn't place the order yet. And I was like, yeah, I just did. Why? And he was like, refresh your computer. And then I refreshed, and he was like, can you call him back and just like consolidated and buy them like all at once? So that's a real thing that will happen.
That's why I need to title this video, because I had one with Alvarez within 30 minutes. He's gotten 2 contracts the same day, same thing.
Oh like that. It happens.
Oh, look, Ivan said he lost by 5 cents.
I've lost by a penny before. I showed it. I lost by a penny. It happens.
So sick. Because so basically your biggest competition is the manufacturer.
More often than not, it is. Every now and again, you might come across like some niche thing where there's this like, we had this one instance. There's this company in Kansas, and like they don't even like say that they specialize in this stuff, but they just kept selling the same thing over and over. And like we would lower our bid. I won it once, and then they lowered their bid like $20, and then I tried to lower it $20, but then they had lowered it like $120 the next time. And I was just like, I can't compete with that. So more often than not, it's the manufacturer. Every now and again, you're going to get some random company in the middle of the country that is just like, nope, this is how I feed my children.
Wow. Okay. So it's like a reverse, almost like a reverse bidding war. It's like,
yeah, 100%. That's what the government ideally wants. And in a perfect world, it's just, there's not enough firms for them to do that, to drive up the competition, but they will purposely, sometimes you'll even get emails where they'll be like, can you negotiate, like, what's your best price? And they'll be between two companies, and they're like, okay, can you give me your best price? And then they'll listen to one company. They'll be like, one time I was out of the country, I was in Portugal, and they were like, yeah, actually, can you do it for 38 grand? And I was like, I can do it for 36. And they're like, what about 34? And I was like, I can't do 34. So,
oh my gosh. It's like almost like a race to the bottom. But if your margins are so high anyway, and you're tracking what it is, then okay. So the anticipation, I think we kind of stopped before we got to that last part. So you're able to facilitate the purchase. Basically, you're not holding any equipment. No. So then everything, it meets the mark, and it's over. It's not the 10,000 and under. It meets the mark. So essentially, it's drop shipping, right? So then, how are you coordinating?
It's not particularly drop shipping, because you can drop ship, but the industry standard is that it's supposed to come to you, you're packaging it, inspecting it, and then shipping it off yourself. You can drop ship. We teach you guys how to do that, but the industry standard is that you're supposed to be the place of packaging. Like, your facility is supposed to be the place of packaging.
Okay, so I know you talk about this in your program and on your YouTube channel. So if I'm not doing that, because it's a whole bunch of nuts and bolts, and I'm not gonna, do all that, and it meets the mark, then am I supposed to somehow repackage, like relabel it to where it says from Foresight Industries, and my address?
So there's a way where you can submit your bid, where you can change it and tell the government this is actually going to come from another company. So you can list, like, one of our clients that we put everybody in touch with, Richard, the guy who ran up $1.5 million out of his apartment. That's the other aspect of his business. We're like, yo, just go talk to Richard, get a quote on the packaging. Richard has a cage code. You tell the government, okay, I'm going to be the person that's going to give you the material. These are the people that are going to package the material. You win it, and then you just send them like the labels that you have to print out, right? So that's one way that you could do it. Another way you could do it is sometimes your vendor might just be like top notch and be like, I'm willing to do it for you, kind of thing. So
got it. Okay, that's good. Make sure y'all ask some questions, because he is dropping some serious stuff. So what are some of the most surprising, or you mentioned a few types of contracts, but products that were just like, how did I get here? type thing.
What are the most probably
cool, exciting, surprising, shocking?
Cool. I know the coolest thing, easy. I sold a Gatling gun, like the guns that go out of the side of the helicopters. I sold one of those. That was the coolest thing I've ever sold, for sure.
Wow. Did you get to see it?
Yeah. It came to the warehouse. I got to open it up out of the crate and everything. That was 100%. And it was way bigger than you think. Like, the movies don't do it justice. It took up like probably a third of like our warehouse floor. That's probably been
wow.
Yeah. It's huge. Probably the craziest thing that I've seen somebody. What is the craziest thing? I mean, the Bibles. I just can't think of anything crazier than like selling the Bibles. Like, she was, I think it was like 800 or something of them, and they needed like a specific version to be a specific size. They were like the pocket Bibles, and I guess they were giving them to people like as they were getting ready to deploy or go to basic or something. I don't know. Is that a thing? Can you?
That is a thing.
Yeah, that's what I think she was selling, like these little pocket Bibles.
So they're not even, okay, that's right. I wasn't even thinking that. They're the small ones that you put in your little cargo pocket, and they have them everywhere. They have them sitting on desks everywhere, so you can just grab one as you go. So wow, that's really cool.
That was how she got her start. She was really good friends with the program manager. All the stuff that you guys get in basic, she was selling all that stuff and then packaging it like in kits, and that's like her niche. She just supports that specific program, and that's how she like runs her business. She doesn't do anything else.
That's something. So I'm assuming, well, yeah, you sell whatever it is that you feel you want to sell. It's not, unless you find the right thing with the right contracting officer. So I'm assuming also, are the contracting officers pretty much sticking to like how are they connected to certain things? Like, are
they're all the contracting officers work within a specific department of DLA, right? So there's DLA Aviation, Land and Maritime, Troop Support, Energy, and Distribution, right? So there's those 5 aspects of DLA. And then within those 5, there's different divisions, right? So in the DLA Aviation division, there's the OEM division, there's the Air Force Support division, there's the Spare Parts division. So there's different aspects of DLA. It's broken up into 5 aspects, and then each aspect could have like 8 different divisions or something like that. And then each of those divisions is responsible for supporting a program, right? So you might go on LinkedIn and then see somebody supports like the F-35 program, and then that's the DLA Aviation OEM division. So that's how you would find the people who keep issuing the contracts for the stuff that you sell. That's going to be your LinkedIn targets right there.
LinkedIn stalking. Remember, LinkedIn stalking. Please, please, please make sure y'all ask questions, because he is willing to share, and he's like an encyclopedia himself about DLA. So Marco Vaughn said, I'm a services veteran. Okay, Army, or what else? There's no other service, so you better be saying Army, Marco. I just registered in DIBBS not long ago. Are there any programs specifically for SDVOSB, VOSB within DLA?
Yeah, there are. They have set aside specifically for guys just like you guys, and they honestly take the best care out of you guys year round. Like, they might alternate between women and hub zone, but the SDVOSBs and the veteran-owned small businesses, you guys are always the priority, and they take the most care of you guys when it comes to contracts. If on my YouTube channel, like probably like 3 or 4 out of like our last 5 companies that we've had come on and talk about their experience have all been veterans. Oh, that man is a Navy.
Oh, no, I'm just joking. Well, brothers and sisters in arms, but he said he's Navy, so I guess he's all right. Okay, so as far as that goes, then when it comes to the set asides on the service side or the other government contracting side, they really hone in on veterans getting the veteran affairs like priority, and only a non-veteran if they can't really find a veteran to perform. So is it similar with that?
So yes and no, right? So DLA supports a lot of different aspects of the government. One of those aspects of the government is the VA, right? So there might be something where it's issued by a division of DLA. Typically, the VA stuff is going to be troop support or distribution. Distribution is going to be like your clothes, your furniture, your toothpaste, et cetera, et cetera. And then troop support is going to be like your it's also your clothes as well, but like uniform stuff. But troop support and distribution are going to be the people that really take care of the VA. And I notice a lot of the troop support and distribution solicitations are SDVOSB set asides, and those ones, they're such sticklers about making sure that the veterans get it that they actually will wait like weeks, months to ensure that nobody's going to bid on it before they like give it to somebody else. And normally, or they won't even give it to somebody else. Normally they will cancel the contract and then reissue it. What they'll actually do is they will leave it open. Even if they reissue it again, they will not cancel the SDVOSB one unless they absolutely have to. So like the solicitation will be sitting there. No veterans will bid on it. And then rather than them cancel the SDVOSB one, they'll just reissue it again as a new one. And then if a veteran happens to bid on the previously opened SDVOSB one, then they'll cancel the normal one and then they'll give it to the veteran.
Ivan, what you doing, Ivan? You got to bid on everything. You're the support right now. Do you have a lot of veteran clients?
So many. I'd probably say like 40%.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So they're able to take advantage of that and not even really have to go after anything other than SDVOSB.
So I don't tell people to exclusively only do that because it only makes up about 15% of the market.
Understood.
Like of the available solicitations. However, if you can get it, go ahead and get it. And sometimes you can actually have a solicitation be created as an SDVOSB set aside for you. If you win a contract and then when they reissue it, they'll publish it as an SDVOSB for you the second time around.
Oh, meaning like I won something before and then they want to buy it again. They'll just sole source it to me.
More so like it was a normal solicitation. You won it. And then the next time will want you to bid on it, but they'll make sure like you're locked in with it because they'll issue it as an SDVOSB when it was just a solicitation.
Okay, that's very similar to the other side of government contracting. So want to also just remind y'all that the super chat is still available because he's dropping nuggets. And thank Ivan and Miss Wilson for their super chat. Really, really appreciate you guys. It helps keep the channel going. So I did write down a couple of questions. So really for like, why would someone let's just say the government, if we're going to think like the government agencies, right? And this may be a question that's like, why are you even asking this? But why? I've seen contracts for toothpaste, right?
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't on DLA.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they choosing to sell it somewhere else rather than DLA? Is it just they don't? Is it more lazy to do one over the other?
No. It really depends on like the need and the channel that the government wants to get it through. One really key aspect of DLA is they buy stuff based on forecast. So not what they need right now, but what they're anticipating the DOD's subsidiaries or the DOH or DOT is gonna need, right? Other agencies might buy based on like immediate need, but DLA, remember, they're a supply depot, so they're like, we got to keep our shelves stocked at all times, kind of thing.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Got it. Because usually when the solicitation is out, it's hot. They need something immediately.
They need it, yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So here I am, brand new. I just learned about DLA today, from soup to nuts. Like, and people ask me this question, I'll be ready to go off, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. So from soup to nuts, I'm brand new. I can follow instructions. I can read. I'm not going to be a whiny client. What's my structure? I read, because I know it takes a while to get that postcard sometimes. So let's just say the postcard comes within 3 days. I do everything I'm supposed to do, get the postcard, off to the races. You teach me everything I need to know. What does that timeline usually look like in a perfect world? Because it's May.
Our guarantee, if you hit all the metrics, because we tell you what metrics you need to hit. We tell you make this many phone calls, send this many emails, submit this many bids, and if you hit it every single day, our guarantee is 45 days. And you guys have a 7-day 100% money back guarantee if you feel like we didn't give you the insight. I'll tell you right now, over 130 companies, we've never had a request for a refund. But 45 days, if you are locked in and you listen and you're like, I'm sinking my teeth into this and I'm hitting these metrics, 45 days, I'm guaranteeing it. Book it, stamp of approval, do whatever you got to do. 45 days is usually, it happens in 30 to 35 days, but you know, they say under promise, over deliver kind of thing. So,
okay. So some people will say, because I mean, realistically, as contractors and all this, but if someone's brand new, they may look at 45 days as too long. But when you really think about the grand scheme of business, I'm just trying to get people to really understand, especially for the playback, that business takes years usually. Like they say, you're not supposed to turn a profit in the first 3 years. That is not the life that I wanted to live. So I'm like, that doesn't make logical sense to me. But you're saying that pretty much guaranteed a profit from product number one, and that's in a month and a half. So
I'm saying that we guarantee you're going to win your first contract.
Yeah.
Now, if you there's some people who decide to do this and they're like, okay, I don't really care about being profitable. I want to learn the system. There's some people that do that as well. I'm not going to sit up here and say I guarantee a profit, simply because sometimes you might win a contract and then the unit of issue is like messed up. And then you realize the government really wanted 50 instead of 5. And now you're like in the red. So I'm guaranteeing I'm going to give you the method on how to win. But if you don't follow instructions or you skip a step or misread something, then you might end up like a little bit less profitable than you had imagined. But the thing I like about DLA is the work that you do today, I like this about government contracting in general, right? You know how it is. You submit a solicitation and let's say we're in May for a contract and then you win it in June or July kind of thing, right? So government contract, you get paid on the work that you do today, tomorrow kind of thing. So it's over those 45 days, you're going to win your first one. But if you're hitting those metrics, you basically just set yourself up for the next 3 to 4 months where you can, if you really wanted to, you could just kick your feet up and then just live off of like what you reap, what you sowed for the past 45 days. Now, obviously, we're trying to build a sustainable business, so I don't advise that, but that's kind of the life cycle that we've observed.
Always be moving, always be bidding. But then you also said that they call you sometimes and they're asking you. So there could be an aspect of that. If you were bidding on, I mean, what's a number that is astronomical? Like you bid on 100 a month. Is that too many? Like what is?
Nah, I'm not going to lie. The most I've ever bid on, the most bid I've ever submitted in a day has been 27. 27 in a day. So we get it. We teach people, once you get proficient, you can submit a bid I want to say that this is just the submission process. It's under 30 seconds if you're proficient. Now, granted, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You have to already have your quote. You have to already have it, like have your pricing and your availability, right? And you have to know where you're getting it from. But if you have all that information, the actual process of submitting the bid, you can do it in under 30 seconds. If you're dialed in. Normally for beginners, it takes anywhere from like 3 to 5 minutes if you're a beginner. But yeah, no, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. But like, I'll be honest. We're probably doing like at 2 lines. We're probably doing between like 300-400 like a week. Now, granted, we're a whole team of people. But when we first started, our goals were 20 a day. 20 a day as a bidder. So you're at 100 by the end of the week, 400 per month. And that's usually the standard that we tell people to ramp up to. Obviously, you're not gonna start off there, right? But if you can get to 20 a day, you're locked in, and you're gonna start seeing some contracts rolling in for sure.
Whew, okay, so look, somebody do that math. I know you just did it, but 27. But I know you probably didn't count weekends, but we're gonna count weekends. Somebody do that math. 27 a day for 30 days. What is that math? Because that's the level of locked in you need to do in order to get to the goal. Everybody's trying to get money today.
810
a month. Y'all not even putting in no bids once a year, okay? Because some of my students, they've been with me for a while, and they are too afraid to bid. That's why I wrote out my subscription service where we help you do proposals, or we send them to you and help you design them. So just a little plug there. But
the only way you can win is if you submit the bids. Y'all better tap in with Sheena, because the only way you're gonna win is if you start bidding. You can't win if you're not. You can't win the game if you're on the sidelines.
Exactly. Like, you really have to do it. And I realize that some people are intimidated by the documentation. They're intimidated by just even the fear of winning. Some people, there's so many different things that come out in these conversations. Some people don't want to make a whole lot of money because of their family dynamic. Just a lot of stuff. They want to do it. They don't have the support, or they have a lot of things pulling at them. But if you're ready to do this, you need to really figure out like what your life priorities are. And I'm not trying to sound like, a Debbie Downer in this moment.
You're 100% right. You are 100% right. I didn't do any, when we were building this thing, I didn't do anything else. I ate, slept, and breathed. I didn't go out. My friends literally saw me like, bro, you literally disappeared for a year, and then you came back and you're talking about government contracting. I didn't do anything. I woke up. I was going to community college because COVID happened, and I decided I didn't want to play football. So I turned down my football scholarships because I just didn't want to do it sitting in a dorm for a year, like not making any progress in life. So I went to community college. All I did was go to class, fly, and bid. That was all I did for a year straight, just to build momentum. And we weren't even profitable after a year. We became profitable after like almost or a little bit over 2 years. But that was what it took. Like straight up eat, sleeping, and breathing it.
And bidding.
So,
right.
Bidding, yeah.
That's the life. And that's how it was with me. I disappeared off of social media for a long time. And people are like, are you all right?
That's what it takes. That's what it takes. You want to be a winner? Yeah, that's what it takes. People don't understand that. They see the glory, they don't see the story. But it's like we're locked in. Like when we said we was going to do it, we locked in, writing those proposals, submitting those bids.
Stop listening to the internet, because a lot of people who are talking, you're seeing their life. Even me, I did a post about, how it's been a rough couple of months and everything. Like I have no shame in that. But like, you see all these great things, but they're still living in the human experience. And a lot of the people started off just as dedicated and focused and locked in and broke and all the other things as everyone else. It's just, you're idolizing the later times. I've been doing this for over 10 years. So of course, I bet have something if I've been working all this time. And there's going to be ebbs and flows where shit goes way downhill and it comes back up. I mean, I hear the stories all the time, even people that have been in business for 30, 40 years. And they're like, man, I went from, making 75 million a year to 9 million. That's a blow. It's still in the millions, but imagine you're almost 9 figures and now you way back down. That's rough. So, imagine all the people you have to lay off and all these types of things. So now there's more at stake than at the beginning, when it's just you and these big audacious goals and these big dreams. You just got to get out there and do it, or don't do it. It's totally fine if you don't. We still need dentists. We still need lawyers. We got pilots. We still need people to work regular. We still need that. So don't You know, some people, Sheen, I'm sorry. Don't, hey, it's your life.
Don't apologize.
It's your life. If you want it, when you're ready, some people have come back too. Years later, they're like, I'm ready now. So I totally get it.
There's
So
something I see. Oh, okay. All right. Get
gotta say Army whore. Gotta say Army. Miss Wilson is in the building and she Army. So appreciate that.
Mr. Marco says, so the high peak time is from May until the end of fiscal year time frame. A firm, yeah. That's the time where you want to be locked in submitting those bids, because come late August and September, that's when they're going to start awarding those contracts. Like it's your print money those last 45 to 30 days of the fiscal year, or contract year, I should say.
He said print money. Boy. She also said, yes, work in silence. And Daniel Luttrell said,
this is interesting. I like this one. To do 10 to 20, I'm going to shatter your mind. No, you do not. You just got to be locked in with one vendor that the government is really buying stuff from. You know how many companies come to me and they're like, yeah, I want a contract. And then they go and they do their market research in terms of finding their niche. They go use that website that we talked about at the beginning, psctool.us, and they find all the other PSC codes that are associated with the contract that they just won for. Their vendor makes all that stuff, and they're just running it up, selling only the stuff on behalf of that vendor. And then we also give you guys a website. We give everybody a website that you use to supplement your bids. It's literally one website. You go in DIBBS, you find the part number, you put it on this website, and then you get the pricing and the availability off of one website. So you do not need to have 10 to 20 vendors to find products. Realistically, you're probably going to have to go through 10 to 20 vendors to find the one that you're going to be able to like really build that relationship with. But I literally, all my contracts now, I literally only sell on behalf of one company. I don't even reach out to other companies. Literally just one company, and it's been like that for the past 18 months.
Wow. Okay. That's really that's helpful. So, because I was thinking about that, I'm like, is it a nuts and bolts company? Is there, I'm sure
they sell aviation and marine components, but they happen to sell surplus material. And I'm just like, you know what? You guys have this stuff here. It's been sitting on your shelf. Like, let me move it for you, kind of thing. And I request the pricing and availability. They send it to me. I almost liken it to like, they're like the big, if you ever see like those like ocean documentaries where there's like the big shark and then like the little remora fish that like swim like swim next to it. That's what I am. And I'm totally okay with that. I'll be the little fish out of like a $800 billion pie. I'm totally cool with getting my little couple million in sales. I'll be the little fish. My ego is out the window, out the door. They're the big guys. They've been here for 40, 50 years, and they're like, you know what, kid, we'll throw you a bone. And I'm like, please, yeah, I'm happy to take that bone and sell it to the government. So
no, I love that. And like you said, selling some of their stuff back to them. So if anybody's registered in DLA, go ahead and drop DLA in the chat if you're already registered. And for those who aren't, how do they register?
I have a video on it.
Yes,
on my YouTube channel. Go check out the tutorials playlist. But you gotta get registered with Sam if you're not already registered with Sam.
Oh, register with Sam first. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta get registered with Sam. You gotta get your cage code, and then you go to the DIBBS homepage, and then you go to the vendor registration box. It's literally a box on the DIBBS homepage, and it says vendor registration. You put in your cage code. They're gonna ask you to verify your POC information, point of contact info. If that's all good, then they're going to send you a postcard, and then the postcard is going to have a pin on it, and then you enter your pin, and then you're going to get a nice little message that pops up on the screen that says, congratulations, you have DIBBS.
Dope. Okay, so if I just happen to know someone that sells like, I keep always saying nuts and bolts. Okay, the reason why I always say nuts and bolts is because I've been wanting to do this video about these ladies that had a nuts and bolts contract. It was on American Greed. Did you ever hear about that?
I have not.
Oh my God. It was, okay, so very long story short. Basically, they were selling nuts and bolts. They made a mistake on their shipping price. Instead of charging like $10, they charged $1,000 by accident. Mm-hmm. The government paid it and didn't say anything. And so they refunded the government back, but then they tried it again and it worked. They got to a point where they were charging, it was whatever the nuts and bolts was like $50, and they were charging the government like $1 million for the shipping. And no one caught it for the long. It was comical because it lets you know like how bad the government used to be and didn't catch that stuff for one. And two, they were just so bold. Like they had balls like nobody
$1 million for the shipping.
For shipping, and the product was like $50 or something. And it was just, I keep thinking about nuts and bolts because it was such a small little company. But anyway, I said all that to say, if I know a company that has like inventory, they have a warehouse right here in Atlanta, right?
Okay.
Am I ready to go? I can, if I register and everything, and
then you have to verify, and this goes back to the market research, or you guys go rewind this video and go talk about that. Verify that the government is buying whatever that company is actually selling, right? So if the government is purchasing it, then you're locked in, then you're good to go. But they could be selling something, and it just so happens that either the government isn't buying it, or they're not currently purchasing it from whatever vendor, you know, your company is stocking their shelves with, which is not a complete L, because you can submit a bid as an alternate bid and offer the government an alternate product, which is slightly different than what they're asking for. So either way, you're not SOL, like you're not stuck, but ideally you want them to be selling stuff that, you know, the government's already buying, or if they're not, you want to be able to put the government onto what it is that your, you know, friend who has the warehouse is holding inventory of.
Okay, so if it's not out on DIBBS currently, like the nuts and bolts are not out on DIBBS, then I gotta say, hey government, I know you probably need nuts and bolts. I got a plug, buy through me.
Correct. Oh, so the way you would do that is you would go find whatever item it is, right? So let's say it's nuts and bolts, but the government doesn't buy those kinds of nuts and bolts, right? Got it. You would go and find a solicitation for the nuts and bolts, and then you would put in the part number and the manufacturer of whoever makes the nuts and bolts that your friend has, submit the bid. And then if the government wants it, then they will either buy it during that solicitation, or they will go ahead and reissue a new solicitation for what you specifically offered them.
I like it. I'm gonna be talking to you, Dave. I said that last time, but I'm for real this time.
Yeah, you got my number. You got my phone number.
Like, hey, we all about to be selling nuts and bolts up in here for real. So, okay, let's get to. We got a few more minutes, you all. Again, please hit like on this video if you have not already. The likes are not matching how many people are viewing. There's a lot of y'all on here listening today because he's dropping so much, and I know you don't even want to blink. You don't even want to go to the bathroom because you don't want to miss anything. But Ivan said, DLA, just hop back on, and Sheena, I will get back on in heavy bidding. All right, Ivan, no breaks, okay? No breaks.
I texted him too. I texted him on Instagram just the other day.
Right, like what you doing, right? Because we got to make sure we stay on people. I know he's very active in a lot of stuff. Since DLA has graciously given me continued access over here. That's awesome. Ms. Wilson said, I had a situation recently where I got the account approved, then they locked it because I needed to prove that my company was who I said. New thing they are doing. Now it's unlocked. Okay. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, that's pretty common. Sometimes the government will ask new companies to verify themselves. Pretty standard. They'll just send you a questionnaire and be like, hey, can you send us a picture of like your building? Send us like proof that, you know, you're actually living there, renting it, kind of thing. So pretty common.
Okay, so back to the nuts and bolts and me, right? So if I got the person and they're like, hey, we need to verify, even though I'm doing, you know, facilities, am I taking a picture of his warehouse, or I'm taking a picture of my garage? Or
it depends where it's coming out of, right? So if the shipping location is gonna be his warehouse and that's where the company's registered, then it'll be there. But they want to see the address that the cage code is registered to.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful.
I don't mean to cut this short. I completely forgot. I have a client call at 7 p.m. EST. So we're not late. We're not late, but I looked at my phone and I was like, oh, that's happening. So
yeah, no worries at all, because we are wrapping up anyway. And I know people, they can reach out to you. So they're like, I don't need to ask my question here. I'm gonna ask them directly. So thank you all for tuning in, and thank you, Dave, for sharing your time. 2 hours is a long time. So I really, really appreciate your time.
We had a ball.
We had a ball. It goes by so quick.
I got some stuff. I'm glad.
It goes by so quick. So you'll have his access to his YouTube channel in the description. Make sure you show him some love, because he's really out here doing it and trying to change lives. That's what us YouTubers are trying to do. Okay, well, some of us trying to change lives. So
I was about to say the words out of my mouth. I was like,
some of us. some of us in the government contracting space, I think most of us are okay. So, you know, just continue to be courageous and do what you need to do in order to get to the next thing. So until next time, you all, it is your favorite veteran. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
All right.